50,000 each from February to September 2023 when she was with or the Health Orchestrate Positive Learning, a DepEd project. She believes it could be to influence her decision as well. Your response po?
Dapat siguro kung mag-akusa siya ng ganyan, dapat may papel siya. Tulad ng ako, pag inaakusahan ako, kung sumasagot ako, binibigyan ko yung papel. Gloria Mercado is a disgruntled and former employee of the Department of Education. She was let go because of loss of trust and confidence sa Office of the Secretary. Una niyang ginawa, hindi ko alam kung ano nauna, pero nakastrike po siya sa akin. Ang una niyang ginawa, nag-solicit siya ng 16 million pesos sa isang kumpanya on paper using my name without any authorization from the Department of Education. Ibigay ni JC sa inyo mamaya yung papel. Kalagay doon. Pangalawa, noong nag-school visit ako sa Cebu, meron lumapit sa akin na teacher. Sabi niya sa akin, "Hintay Sara, masakit sa loob namin na mga teachers kami na nasa field. Tapos merong humahawak ng teacher items na wala dito sa aming probinsya o wala dito sa aming region." So, pinakwento ko siya. Iyon naman yung purpose ng aking mga school visits, diba, sa iba't ibang lugar. Sabi ko, wala naman tayo, kwento mo lahat sa akin. And then it turned out, ang HR mismo ng Department of Education, our Undersecretary, took a teacher item from Region 7, nilagay niya sa central office for a non-teaching task. Ginawa niya executive assistant niya. Ang apelido ng Villa, meron niyang paper trail.
Actually disturbed kasi kung sinabi ni Yusek Mercado na meron pang isa na nakatanggap at malamang meron pang ibang nakatanggap, I can just imagine if this was done on regular intervals, say monthly, I can just imagine the total amount needed to sustain it over a year. And you know, at 50,000 each, sabihin na lang natin may 20, may 50, tapos merong 12 months, may Christmas pa daw, di ba? Mr. Chair, I can just imagine, and it's quite disturbing, no? For this particular practice, even to use a language that even a small whim of this happening in one of the departments that we hold in high regard, the Department of Education, it's really quite disturbing. But just to give a better picture of how things are at the DepEd, Yusek Lo, you were Yusek for HR, right, Mr. Chair?
Yusek Mercado.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yusek, can you walk us through the process that DepEd followed in the selection of USECs and ASECs? Kasi I remember at that time there was a heightened attention at hiring at the best and the brightest for DepEd. Would you share with us if there was an emphasis on appointing the most qualified and capable individuals? Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, that's why we all started out inspired, and for once we said that meritocracy is alive in the bureaucracy, because we went through a process of applications, being vetted, being in fact background check, and then the final search was a committee that asks specific questions. So if you're applying for a certain position, they will ask you questions around that. So it was, I think there were almost 1,000 for, or hundreds, I'm not sure, but we were informed that there were so many applicants. It was CES board that made the application, the search, the announcement, and it says, if your career and your smartest and the brightest, you can apply. So we did apply online, and then we received notice for interview, and then after a while we got a notice that you are hired as undersecretary for Bureau of Human Resource and Organizational Development. So that's how the process went.
Mr. Chair, is this same process for the other portfolios?
Yes, yes.
Given your experience in government, Mr. Chair, would you say this was something unusual for a government agency to go through this process compared to the other agencies that you worked before?
Yes, that's why I said we were inspired when we started out. In fact, I recall I even posted in my day saying that meritocracy is alive when we were chosen.
So when this string of resignations happened, Mr. Chair, as HR, have you ever, tried to understand why these resignations were happening? Were these resignations ever addressed or seen as a cause for concern within the department?
It was beyond us, I have to admit, as the HROD and the parang nananayan of the Execom, every time someone is sent out, part of me dies off kasi they're also very close to me and they're young. These people are young. I know it will affect their careers. So even if this group tried to band together, they've been inviting me to join them. I could not because I wasn't able to do anything for them as the HROD.
Mr. Chair, would it be fair to say that even if you're using the word resignations, these resignations were in fact de facto dismissals?
Yeah. Because they didn't want to, but they have to because pride na rin siguro that they...
And Mr. Chair, the decision to dismiss them was entirely the Vice President's decision as Secretary of Education.
It was the three, it was Yusek Sulaika of OBP, then one was si Yusek Powa, yung inutusan, and then yung isa si Asek Shine.
So you mentioned Yusek Sulaika Lopez, the Chief of Staff of the Vice President. And at the time when she talked to this outgoing, dismissed undersecretaries and assistant secretaries, she was not part of the Department of Education, correct?
No.
So her role was really as Chief of Staff to the Vice President.
Yes.
Was this something usual for officials of the Office of the Vice President to intervene or to meddle in affairs of the Department of Education when she was Secretary of Education, Mr. Chair?
I guess that's that's the difficult part of the situation kasi you're OBP and at the same time you're Secretary of Education. But it was unusual on my part to hear after they came back from the OBP that they were asked to resign. In fact, the first one, yung sila Yusek Chris, we were doing a national screening committee.
Ma'am, Yusek, pakilakas po. Medyo hindi
we were in
talaga.
the screening committee and we had to stop because it's like all of us cried, and fortunately there was one of the members of the screening committee was from CES board, and she advised us that Chris should not be resigned because she's CESO 1. So kung pwede siyang pumunta na lang sa pool. So that's why we advised Chris to get the resignation and instead request for the pool.
Mr. Chair, Yusek, kanina you mentioned a narrative na some officials were being called at a certain hour and were told that they were being asked to resign or dismissed with the same day, I
Yes.
believe. So, paano yun? May dala na silang resignation nung pinatawag sila? Or how was the process done?
I guess they were asked to submit right there and then.
Right there in front of Yusek Sulaika?
I'm not sure if kay Sulaika or sa amin sa DepEd.
But definitely wala silang dalang resignation letter when they were
Wala,
called.
because they didn't know that they will have to go.
That they will have to be resigned. So wala ding opportunity, Mr. Chair, Yusek, that exit calls were done for transparency and accountability? Was there even a chance that the former Deputy Secretary, the Vice President, would meet with these officials para pa-thank you lang naman for the services rendered?
No exit calls.
No explanation on the part of the Vice President?
Well, it was not explained to the Execom. So that was a very unhealthy precedence kasi parang after that we all ran scared that we might be the next one.
Paano kung seso, Yusek, Mr. Chair? Kasi syempre, we have certain rules to follow when it comes to career executive service officers. Was there another process? Was there a due
That's
process?
why they have to resign because their career.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Chair. Kasi ako, right there and then, they will lose their income, their staff will lose all their benefits and salaries, and they were all left in the cold, left in the dark about the circumstances of their termination. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Would you agree, Mr. Chair, Yusek, that these decisions appear to be arbitrary or whimsical or even capricious to say?
I'll choose arbitrary.
Would you, you've been, I believe you've been a human resource practitioner for the longest time. Would you believe that this somehow measures up to an abuse of authority or a lack of respect for government officials, especially those in the career service and for established processes in government service?
Maybe it's probably for her it's a decision she has to make, and as to what are the reasons, it's hard to speculate. But it's very inhuman for
I will
the
supply the word, Mr. Chair. It's quite unprofessional. You agree?
yes. Or
Now,
I'd rather use the word
Unprofessional.
inhuman.
Inhuman.
Because you lost your income, di ba? Yung may pamilya ka
Hindi lang
eh.
naman inisip kung may sasaing mamayang gabi, no? Pagka uwi. Mr. Chair, would you know, Yusek Mercado, who replaced the outgoing officials?
For the two in administrative services, it was General Menpin and General Baluyan.
So that confirms the two generals on the invitation list serving as Yusek and ASEC, correct? What specific designations they had again?
They
Madam
were
Chair?
USEC
Mr.
for
Chair?
administrative services and ASEC for administrative services.
You know, we have so much respect for our men in uniform, Mr. Chair, Yusek Mercado, but you think having a general in the Department of Education would be something congruent with the mandate of the agency?
Well, it's a decision that the leadership has opted to take, so we cannot question it.
Now, considering this resignations, replacement of officials, and this, as we say, arbitrary style of dealing with human resource at the Department of Education, how would you characterize the management style of the Vice President when she served as head of your agency?
She has her targets, And I think that's where the disconnect is, because my sense, no, she has her targets, but she's in a different platform because ang orientation niya is local government, while as like policy process takes a longer one, no. Siya has to do it fast. I think she's been going down in the field, so mas nakikita niya yung problema. So she wanted it really, things to go very fast. But the policy process can take a little while. And since these are also human that you have to consider, so you have to explain to her that that's how things work in the policy loop.
Would it be fair to say that she could have been more humane in her dealings with the officials and employees of DepEd?
I think humane is, yeah, but probably it's a context of she thinks that since we're the executive committee, we should, level up to what she expected everyone to do.
The executive committee, Mr. Chair, is composed of the
The
USECs and
undersecretaries and the assistant secretaries.
How often did the executive committee meet with the Secretary of Education in person?
I think we had a face-to-face mga few times, but most of our executive committee meetings are online, and usually she joins, but most of the time it's USEC POA who.
It's USEC FOA who will
Yes.
preside. So next level of the USEC ASEC would be the regional directors. How often did the DepEd secretary then had meetings with regional directors?
I'm not. It's a man. Because there's an execom and there's a mancom. I'm not very sure. Maybe maybe Yusek Rebsi would know because he is the secretariat of the management committee. Yusek Rebsi Escobedo is also here.
So, Mr. Chair, USEC law should be once or twice, or how many? Just estimation.
Maybe quarterly.
Quarterly. So she was DepEd
Quarterly
secretary for
with Yusek POA.
with USEC FOA, but with the Secretary of Education herself.
I'm not very sure with the. But when we were there, she was attending Mancom naman, which was monthly when I was there. But I'm not sure after I left.
So when you were serving at DepEd, she was attending or presiding over meetings with the regional director monthly, every month,
For a certain time.
for a certain time. So, do you believe that that kind of leadership that you had in the Department of Education affected the overall stability and the quality of leadership down the line?
Yes.
Do you think that the particular, you mentioned kanina, parang LGU yung perspective, no? That leadership style would be focused more on, I don't want to use the word, but that's the only way to describe it, partisan political interest rather than the welfare of the institution, the personnel, and ultimately the student that DepEd ought to serve. Do you think that's a safe,
I think
fair assumption, Mr. Chair?
when I say LGU, I think it's more of a fast result than because she really goes down to the ground, to the school level.
But
So
that fast result appears to be would require or sometimes result in a disregard for the career professionals in the department, don't you think, Mr. Chair?
yeah, sometimes.
Last question, ma'am. At least, Mr. Chair, I would know the Vice President is watching us because she just had a press conference and she said that she's denying giving former DepEd Undersecretary Gloria Mercado 50,000 for 9 months. And the Vice President saying that Mercado was let go because she used DepEd to solicit donations from the private sector amounting to 16 million without her knowledge. And she adds that she will provide the media with paper trail to back up her claim, describing Mercado as a disgruntled former DepEd official. I think, ma'am, given your long history and long service to the Republic, 40 long years, I think it's fair
It's
for you
very
to be
sad.
given the opportunity to reply to the Vice President.
I think, I don't want to do this, but since siya na yung nagsabi, i-turn over ko na yung envelope. The envelopes where the money was.
Comsec,
So
Paki-
it's 9 envelopes.
kuha po yung envelope.
So it says hope and the amount is there. Kasi ang sakit naman nun, ordinaryo lang akong trabahante tapos inano ka ng Vice President, di ba? It's very painful.
Ma'am, ilang taon na po kayo? I hope you don't mind. Gusto ko lang pong malaman kasi sabi po ninyo 40 years na po kayo in government.
I'm 65, sir, but
So when the time when you were appointed as USEC, noong 2022 ba? 2022? How old were you at
I
that
was 64.
time? 64.
Yeah.
I'm sure sa edad ninyong yan, after pagkatapos nyo pong pag-ingatan yung iyong pangalan for the past 40 years?
Sabutin ko yun. Yes, sir.
So, okay, anyway,
Sir,
Mr. Chairman,
I'd like to...
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, dito po ako.
ay,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chair, can I continue first?
Congressman, wait, before I recognize Congressman Paduano, ma'am. Yes.
I believe...
With the indulgence of Congressman Asidre, please continue, Congressman.
Mr. Chair, can we allow Yusek Mercado to continue with the response? Because I was trying to ask her about the 16 million that the Vice President mentioned.
Please respond with respect to the 16 million. 1660.
16.
16 million.
I would like to respond to that because it's a press con. When I was called for by Yusek Sulaika, he said, Yusek Mercado, you have to go because one, you have a teacher in your staff. But I explained to them that the teacher was a contract of services when I joined DepEd. And the teacher has a pending application in Cebu because he's from the Visayas. And while he was working with us, he qualified for the RQA. But then when he received his appointment as a teacher, it was already past the opening of the class. It was almost opening, and the teaching load was already apportioned. So I called the RD. I said, can I still keep him? Because he was working on the special hardship allowance, which was a program that BP Sara also wanted to improve because there's a new hardship allowance, and we were just able to reduce the hardship threshold from 0.37 to 0.33. And she wanted the basis for the giving of the hardship allowance, special hardship allowance, revisited. So that's why that guy was the one working on it. So I explained, and I don't feel at all na guilty ako dun sa sinabi niya. The second one is, Sulaika mentioned that I solicited from 2 agencies. So I explained to her that it was a program which our strand developed. There were 2 consultants from UNICEF who developed the app, and then we asked our external partnership office to look for external partners who will be presenting the program, because we developed the concept. It was DepEd Guru. It's her being able to contact the 980,000 teachers. Parang kahit nasan siya, pwede niyang makausap yung mga teachers. The second one was for us to do an electronic mode of the RQA. Parang there's no human intervention anymore. Everyone uploads the credential. Even the computation of the teacher qualification is already on an what do you call this? Wala na siyang human intervention. So that was the program. It wasn't us who choose who would be the partners who will be invited. It was the external partnership. So we made a presentation to almost all the corporations. And then some of the corporations appreciated that it's a very important program. So some of them committed to buy, kasi what we did is we divided the total fund of 16 million into chewable chunks. So if you're interested with this package, ito lang. If you're interested with it, because not everyone naman wanted to pay the 16 million. But there were two corporations who were willing to fund, because we wanted to put one in Mindanao, one in Visayas, and one in Luzon. So there were two who committed to fund the full package, and those were the two corporations that Yusek Sulaika said I solicited. So I explained properly. I did not solicit. There's no money involved there. These are equipments. Walang cash po doon. Equipment siya na ito-turn over sa DepEd. So I feel very sad that up until now, the BP has not been appraised, as I explained it to her people, that we did not solicit. In fact, the two corporations are willing to give an affidavit that I have no solicitation from them of 16 million.
So to reiterate, Mr. Chair, Yusek, first, this was a sanctioned DepEd project.
It's a DepEd project.
Second,
yes.
you did not do the solicitation yourself.
It was managed by the
external partnerships office. Third, no cash donation was ever
So
made.
equipments.
Was given to the department. So none of this, of what allegations that the Vice President's making against you is true.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chair. And
Thank-
that makes it very sad because she's saying it now. Ibig sabihin, her people did not explain to her.
At least I know she's watching, then she probably be able to get the information from you now. Thank you, Yusek Lo. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Congressman Paduano.
Ano lang po, short interjection with regards to the envelopes that was submitted to this committee. And I just want to put it in record that voluntarily, former Yusek Mercado submitted the 9 envelopes, sealed, to support his claim, her claim in her affidavit, paragraph 4. Tama po, Yusek? Ito yung sa affidavit mo, paragraph 4, no? So, Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
again,
Chair.
just for the record, the 9 envelopes is being submitted voluntarily by Yusek Mercado and for this committee to keep it as part of the supporting evidence that was claimed through her affidavit, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you po. The chair would like to recognize the next interpellator, Congressman Suwan.